Well, here's something that is kind of a bolt out of the blue, and I cannot help myself, but I'm going to just post this. What's happened is I need to give a client an invoice today, and my invoice software, which is on a Google Pixel, has disappeared. There is a Google Pixel here, has a little app, and I use it to invoice the clients, but I cannot see it. And I'm paying a subscription for this thing. All it does is generates PDFs. So I figured, you know what, man? I'm going to make my own invoicing app. So I figured, well, why not just make this a tutorial, chuck it on YouTube and let people know what we're doing. So this is what we're going to build. It's going to be an invoicing application. You're going to be able to add your customer records here. You're going to then be able to have some invoice items. So something like, I don't know, website repair, like that maybe. Let's just add another record, something like SEO, you know, chuck in your price. And then you're going to be able to create an invoice as easy as this. So you'll have a little pop-up, date created, have a due date. You'll be able to choose a customer record. And then you can associate it with some invoice items. So perhaps a website repair, maybe even some SEO. When you're happy, you'll be able to view your invoice as a PDF. Okay, and that's going to give you something like that. And if the customer pays half, you can maybe leave a comment and say, customer has paid half. And if the customer pays in full, you can tick paid. And when you view the PDF, you're going to have a little, don't know if you can see that, a paid thing that goes across the page here. If you are a member of Speed Coding Academy, this will be easy. If you are not a member of Speed Coding Academy, this is going to be the worst tutorial that you've ever seen. And quite frankly, you won't have a clue what's going on probably. But I do hope that you get something from this. And I hope, quite frankly, that you'll consider coming on board, you know. I'd love to have you on board at Speed Coding Academy. So let's build this. It's going to take us about 25 minutes. That's quite long for a web development tutorial these days. But I hope that you are not so insensitive that you're going to just say, oh, it's 25 minutes. We are doing a lot of stuff in only 25 minutes here. So enjoy the tutorial. And let's start with the Trongate desktop app. So I'm going to create a new app. I'm going to call it Awesome Invoices. That's the name of the app, right? So I'm now just going to download it from GitHub and set up the database. That's that done. And I'm going to quickly create 3 modules. For the first one, I'm going to say customer. And I'll have a navigation label of manage customers. We'll give it a little icon. And find something that makes you feel good, you know. That'll do me actually. I'll add some properties. So I'm going to have company name. I'm going to have another variable character, contact person first name, and another one, contact person last name. Let's also have contact email address. Let's have a telephone number. And of course, we are web developers. Let's have website address. And finally, I'm going to just add the full address. Now, all of my clients seem to be from the UK, so I'm going to choose an address type of British. This may look a bit strange if you are not from the UK, but that is the format. I'm not going to bother with a URL column. The default order by will be company name ascending. All right, so that module is now generated. I'm going to do 2 more. So I'm creating a new module here. I'm going to call this one, I'll just type in invoice. It's going to suggest manage invoices. I'm going to have an icon. And for this one, I'll search for the word file. and we'll take something like, oh gee, what have we got here? Maybe this one here. Going to add some properties. I'll have a variable character with, let's see, how about reference number? Something like that. And this will not have any validation rules, and it will not be on the create form. I'm also going to have a date field called date created, and another date field called date due. So when is the invoice due? Then I'm going to have a boolean called paid. All right. So there we go, and I think that's all we need. So no need for a URL column, and I'm going to order by date created descending. Let's generate that. Okay, so there we go. Now there's not going to be any more new modules, but I am going to create a module relationship. It's going to be a one-to-many. The parent is customers, the child is invoices, parent identifier is company name. Let's generate that relation. I'm going to have another module relation. This is going to be a many-to-many. Module is invoices. You know what? I do need another module. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, let's do a module for invoice items. Okay, so it's going to suggest manage invoice items. All right, so I'll say yes. We'll have a little icon. Now choose anything you want. I'm going to just search for gift here and have something like that. You know, it's an item, right? And for the properties, I'm just going to say title. That's a variable character. And then I'm going to have a decimal that's going to be price. All right. So no need for a URL column. Order it by title and generate. Okay. So now I'm going to do that last module relation. This is where we do the many-to-many between invoices and invoice items. The identifier column is the reference number. The other identifier column is the item title. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the items module, and I'm going to just add a couple of new records. Let's just say something like construction of new online shop, and I'll just say in brackets 50% deposit, something like that, and chuck in a price. I'm just making this stuff up randomly, of course. Let's have another one, maybe something like website maintenance, maybe 1 month, and that might be, maybe you charge $1,000 a month or something, I don't know. And let's do that. I'll do one more. I'll just say search engine optimization, and do something like that. Okay, so I've added 3 invoice items. Now I'm going to create a customer record. The company name is going to be SpaceX. The contact person, first name's Elon, last name's Musk. It's going to be elon@spacex.com. Let's do a little dummy phone number here. And we'll just do a little website. I don't know why I'm even doing that. I'll just say SpaceX Road, and it's going to be in some place, which is in the town of Enfield, which is in London. LW1 8QT. I'm just saying London because I know what the UK postcodes look like, you know. I can add a little comment. Don't forget to ask for a free Tesla. And it's all dated and timestamped. Isn't that fantastic? Now, let's open up the text editor. Can't just generate everything, you know. And we are going to have to do a wee bit of coding. Now, I had a practice run earlier on. So let me just go past that. But here's the new one that I've got. And there is the site that was generated. I'm going to go into the invoices. That's actually, you know what? That's the wrong site. That was my practice run. Our site is awesome invoices. I did a practice with one called amazing invoices. This is, of course, awesome invoices. Okay, in case you're wondering, the first practice run took about half an hour, but I think I'll be quicker now. So I'm going to open up my invoices controller file. I'm going to go to submit. And when we insert a new record, I'm going to say data reference number equals make rand str. I want 6 characters, and I'm going to say comma true to make it go uppercase. Now I'm going to go into manage invoices, create a new invoice. I'll have it today, due maybe, I don't know, a week on Friday. And the customer is SpaceX. I'm going to associate a couple of items with this. Let's have that. And let's have maybe website maintenance. There we go. Now, believe it or not, that is the back end system done, you know. But I'm going to go into views, show, and where we've got this button here, I'm going to add another button, and this is going to go to invoices, display, and I'll pass in the reference number, and I'm going to just say here, view PDF. So the icon we want is FA-file-PDF-O. Save it and refresh. And you can see that I've got a button here for viewing a PDF version of the invoice. Now, I'm going to be borrowing code from elsewhere and even cheating a wee bit and using code from a previous site. That's fine. It's perfectly legal. In fact, it's good to do things like that. But before I do that, let me just go back to the invoices controller here, and I'm going to just say function display, and I'll just say that the reference number is this URL segment, and it's going to be segment 3. Then I'm going to say invoice object is this, calling upon the model get one where reference number is the reference number, and that's that. Then I'm going to say let's load up the customers module, and let's get a customer object. The customer object is going to call upon the model get where, and I'm going to say invoice object loading up customers ID on the customers table. Now let's open up customers. I'm going to make a little method here called build address. It's going to take in a customer object. Okay, and it's also going to take in a delimiter. I'm going to say address is empty. Then I'm going to say if customer object loading up address line 1 is not empty, then address also equals, and I'm going to add on this little beauty here. I'm also going to add on the delimiter. Now I'll do that for all 6 fields, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I know that it's address line 2, it's address line 3, address line 4, oh pardon me, address line 1, 2, 3, it's town, that's the next one, then it's city, then it's postcode. Okay, that's how the Royal Mail formats addresses, right? Apologies if you're not from the UK, but I'm just going to return the address. Pretty cool. Now, let's go back to invoices here. I'm going to say data customer address is this customers build address, and I'm passing in the customer object. I'm also going to say data customer name is invoice, actually customer object loading up company name. Then I'm going to say data reference number equals the reference number. Then I'm going to say date created is string to time on the invoice object loading up date created, but then data date created is going to be, I'll call upon the date object, I'm going to say LJS little backslash OFFY comma date created, like that. I'm going to do exactly the same for the due date. So here we go. Actually, it's date due. There we go. Now I'm going to open up config and I'm going to just define another constant that I want. This is going to be called currency underscore symbol, and currency symbol for me at least is going to be ampersand pound with a semicolon. I'm going to then open up site owner and I'm going to put my own name in as the company name. You put in anything you want. I'll chuck in a dummy telephone number and I'll chuck in an address, 33 Evergreen Road. I'll just say something like that. It's the old neighbourhood, Glasgow, Scotland, and G, and it's something like that. Chuck in a little email address, david@whatever.com, and I'm going to do 3 more. I'm going to define bank name and chuck in the name of your bank. So I'll just say JP Morgan. I'm going to do another one with account number, and that's going to be something like that. And I'm going to define sort code, and that's going to be something like that. Perfect. Now back over on invoices here, this is where I'm going to cheat, because I did build a PDF thing for an online shop tutorial for Speed Coding Academy, and I'm going to call upon that, I think, to generate the PDF. But I'm also going to take a little trip to Packagist, because there's a thing here called DOM PDF. Okay, and this is going to be incredibly useful for us. So I'll copy this line of code here, heading into the terminal. Now I think that was my practice run, so if I do that, paste in that stuff, it's now downloading the DOM PDF thing. While that's happening, I'm going to go into the public folder, into index, and I'm going to say require once and then / vendor / autoload.php. Over on invoices, there's a little line of code that we need to bring this thing to life, and here it is right here. So we chuck that right at the top, and now is the bit where I really do cheat. I'm going to call upon my invoice from the online shop thing. It was a totally different system, totally different invoice, but all I really want is these lines here. I'll copy those, take them across, and we'll just do something like that. Now this is calling upon a view file called invoices. So into the views folder, we're going to make up invoices.php. And again, just for the last time, I'm going to cheat just one more time by going to views, invoices. Anyone from Speed Coding Academy, you have this actually. So we'll copy that. We'll head on in, and I'm just going to paste like so, maybe even tidy up a wee bit. Now this is expecting a logo here. I don't have a logo, so I'm going to just do an H1 with our name. I'm going to head downstairs to the styling bit, and I'm just going to say H1 comma something like that, you know. So if we now, you can see that this is trying to draw a shopping cart. That's just not going to work. So I'll take that out, and I'm going to just say thank you for your business. That'll do us. Now we don't need to format the date created stuff. We've done that already. But what I am going to do is a couple of BRs, and then we'll have a new line here where I'm just going to say date due. Something like that. Okay. So this here is going to be our reference number. And hopefully everything is in okay shape now. So I'm going to refresh this. Alright, now on build address, it's saying I've got too few arguments, so I'm just going to pass in a little BR vibe. And invoice.php does not exist. Oh, great. I'll just rename that. Alright. So here is the invoice, and it actually does not look too bad at all. So what I'm going to do now is over on the invoices controller file, I'm going to make up a little method called fetch items. It's going to take in an invoice ID. Now, in order to fetch the items, I'm going to do a table join. I'm not the best table join guy in the universe. I just don't like them. So I'm going to open up Navicat, as I like to do, and I'll bring up the query builder, and we've got a thing called associated invoices and invoice items. I'm going to link this to invoice items like this, and I want those two fields, and there is the query. So right around here, I'm just going to say that the SQL equals that. I'll add in a little where clause. I'm going to say where associated blah 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 invoices ID equals colon invoice ID. So for the invoice ID, I'm just going to say params invoice ID equals invoice ID. And so now I'm going to do a little bit of query binding. I'm going to say items is this model query bind, passing in the SQL, passing in the params, and I want objects back. So then I'm just going to return the items. Alright, now up here I'm just going to say data items is this, and it's going to be fetch items, and I'm passing in the invoice object, loading up that ID. Over on invoice, I'm going to go run about here. I'm going to create a table with a class of cart contents, and it's going to start off with a TR and a TH. There shall be two of them. I'm going to say item, then I'm going to say price. I'm going to go into PHP. I'm going to say grand total equals 0, and then I'm going to say for each items as item. Now I'm going to say nice item price is number format item loading up price to 2 decimal places. Then nice item price is going to equal string replace. I'm going to get rid of 0.00, replace it with an empty string, and that will be on nice item price. Then I'm going to say that the grand total equals the grand total plus the item loading up the price. And indeed, I'm going to copy these two little beauties here, paste in, and I'm going to just say nice grand total like that. And right here, I'll be number formatting the grand total. Okay, so with that now being done, I'm going to just echo a little table row, echo a closing table row, then I'm going to echo a TD with item loading up title, something like that. Going to do the same again here, but this time we're going to have our currency symbol, and we're going to say nice item price. Finally, we're going to close our PHP here. We're going to have a TR with another 2 TDs. Right up the top, I'm going to say style equals font weight bold. Here, I'm going to say style equals text align right. And I'm just going to say total. And in here, I'll echo out the currency symbol. And then I'm going to have the nice grand total. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to just do a paragraph. Actually, let's do an H3. And I'm going to say how to pay. New line. And in this paragraph, I'm going to say, please pay by bank transfer to the following account. And then we're going to have a UL with LIs. There shall be 3 of these little beauties. I'm going to do a vertical select here. Oops. There it is. And I'll do bold. And I'm also going to go into PHP, something like that. And right here, I'm going to say bank name. And this is going to call upon our bank name constant. Then we've got account number. We're going to call upon the account number. Remember, it's in the settings, right? And then we've got sort code. Again, calling upon the sort code. Let's just save and refresh. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. But not quite finished. First of all, this can do with a margin. So style equals margin top 33 pixels. Gee, you know, I noticed with this this thing, what are we calling it? This DOM PDF thing, man, sometimes when you do margins and stuff like that, it just does not behave, you know, which is a wee bit of a downer. But what the heck, it's a PDF, you know. I can cheat and go BR, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. All right, now there's one more thing we need to do before this is perfect. I'm going to go to invoices one last time. I'm going to say data paid equals invoice object loading up paid. Over on invoice, I'm going to go to the top of this table here. I'm going to say, let's have a div with an ID of paid. It's going to say the word paid inside it. And we're going to go in PHP here. And I'm going to say, if paid is equivalent to 1, then let's echo out this div here. Like this. All right. Now I'm going to go downstairs, do a little bit of styling. So we're talking about an ID of paid. I'll say that the color is hash symbol 991234 Then I'm going to say the font size is 5M. Then I'm going to say position is absolute. I'm kind of guessing with the numbers here. I cannot remember them. I'll say top 400 left to 40. Let me just save that. Now, nothing will happen because it's not paid, right? But if I go back, update the invoice, change it to paid, and have a look at the PDF, now you can see that it says paid. And I was quite lucky with the number there, with the positioning. So I'm going to say text transform uppercase. I'm going to say transform rotate. Let's rotate it 35 degrees. That's DEG. Then I'm going to say opacity is 0.45. Save it, refresh. Very nice. And the last thing is just to make that font weight bold. And there it is, done. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll see you again soon.